McBride will be joining us in person shortly. If we do take any votes before Commissioner McBride is here in person, we'll do a roll call. Can I ask, can people in the back hear me? Yes, thank you. Can I ask, is this meeting being recorded? Let me put the public on notice that this meeting is being recorded. Thank you. Can I ask people please to put their cell phones on silent or shut them off? Okay, thank you. Apologize for the late start today. We have a long agenda. I would like to make some comments before we get started. I will also, when I finish my comments, ask any other commissioner that would like to make comments as well before we get into the agenda. The comments that I am going to make, I believe will be repetitive for some and hopefully unnecessary. But I do want to start by reminding the audience that the open meeting law requires and our mission state commits us to conduct all of our business in public, openly, and transparently. We have a packed agenda, as usual, with 31 provisional licenses, 5 final licenses, 19 renewals, 3 changes of location, approval of vendors for responsible vendor training, and several guidance documents. If we are unable to get through our agenda, it will cause real harm for real people, many of which are in this room. I cannot and will not let that happen. I recognize and respect the frustration that some people have with the licensing process. We have been and will continue to be committed to providing forums to listen, to learn, and to answer questions, including next Thursday, a week from today, when we will have an applicant forum in this office as part of that continuing dialogue. In that context, I respectfully request that all attendees respect the rights of everybody else and allow us to conduct our business. If there is a disruption, I will exercise my rights under the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20G, which allows me to ask any disruptor to stop disrupting the meeting, and if they continue to disrupt the meeting, to ask them to be removed from the meeting. And I will exercise that right if necessary. I'm deeply hopeful that will not be necessary. Thank you. I'd like to, before I get on the agenda, offer the opportunity to any of my fellow commissioners who wish to make a comment. Commissioner Title?
If it's not on the agenda elsewhere, I'd like to talk about the applicant forum for a moment.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to thank everybody who gave their feedback about the forum, what it should look like, and the fact that we need a forum. So I wanted to encourage people to sign up in advance. An email went out last night to our email list that discussed that the forum will include a dialogue with commissioners and staff. We may ask you follow-up questions. We want to understand the challenges that you are facing and the potential solutions that you may have. And we will be holding roundtable discussions as a follow-up to that forum with commissioners, staff, community leaders, and affected people to discuss options and recommendations and ways to address the challenges that have been raised. So I want to, again, thank the people who brought up the need for that forum and encourage you to take part, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Commissioner Flanagan.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to recognize and to really put out there that when we're doing this forum and when we're going to have these conversations with people, we sort of have to have a quick civics lesson in what we can do as a commission, as a licensing body, versus what the legislature has to do. I know people have reached out to me to say, well, change the law. Make sure the law changes. We can't change the law. The law has to change up on Beacon Hill. We're governed by the law, and we have to follow Chapter 55, but we don't have the ability to change that law. So I think sometimes it gets very frustrating when people tell us, you know, change this law, make this easier for us. We're not the right people to do that. Our legislators are the right people to do that, whether it's the Cannabis Policy Committee, or it's your local legislator, or it's people that are involved in this issue as a policy issue of their own. We want to work with you to do things like that, but we have to make sure that we understand our purview is only what we have under the chapter that governs this body. So as we're having these conversations, I don't want to be difficult, but when I tell you that we need to go to the right people, it's really to help you to understand what exactly needs to be done to get to where your end goal is.
Thank you, Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Doyle? Okay, thank you. Then let's get into the agenda. Let me start. We have approval of minutes. I'm going to suggest that we wait for Commissioner McBride's arrival, since that has to be a discussion and a vote. So we'll start with the Executive Director's report. We have, as I said...
Mr. Chair, I can hear you.
That's okay, Commissioner McBride. I think we'll still do the minutes when you arrive in person, and we'll go through these.
I see you there in 10 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Drive carefully, please. We have, as I said, several changes of locations. I'll give you the exact numbers. We have 3 changes of location, 31 provisionals, 5 finals, and 19 renewals. We have, I believe, 6 or 7 guidance documents that need to be discussed and voted on. We have applications for responsible vendor training that we need to discuss. So it is a lengthy agenda. I'll do my best to get through it as efficiently as possible. We will certainly take a break or two along the way. That being said, Mr. Executive Director, are you ready to do your report? Before we get into your standard slides, I know you have a few job descriptions and postings. Mr. Executive Director?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll begin, if you'll indulge me, by introducing our newest staff member, announcing a staff kind of transition as well. So I'd like to begin by introducing our newest HR generalist. Her name is Celia Williams. I think she's here somewhere.
Would you make yourself known, Celia? There.
So Celia, as I mentioned, joined us in December as the HR generalist. She's there in that role, responsible for supporting our managers and employees across each area, including recruitment, onboarding, payroll, benefits administration, et cetera. She joins us most recently from the Office of the Comptroller, where she served as a human resources specialist. Prior to her role there, she was a compliance specialist at Boston University. So Celia has joined the commission as our HR generalist.
Welcome, Celia.
Thank you, Chairman.
I'd also like to announce that Kirsten Swenson has transitioned to a full-time role with the commission.
Kirsten?
Kirsten, yep.
You're in the back? You're in the back, aren't you?
She had worked with us previously in a temp role, but I think now has pivoted into a permanent role as a full-time employee in the role of a project coordinator within our communications department. So those just 2 staff changes I want to bring your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Executive Director.
As you also indicated, there are 2 roles that are before you today for your consideration. Both fall within our IT department. As you know, we've really, at this point, I think, finalized an IT migration from the state's mass.gov platform into our own network. With that, obviously, comes some additional responsibilities incumbent upon us. It's on. Incumbent upon us to monitor and maintain our systems. So this evolution is the first role as the Director of IT and Security Operations. That role would work with our Chief Technology Officer, Dave McKenna, and really be the backbone of our IT maintenance and support as well as security functions. This is, again, an evolution based on the technology changes that we've recently adopted, and I think would be a natural evolution. The second role is that of a systems administrator, again, as we build out our IT department and continue to be self-sufficient. Systems administrator is something, as we grow as an agency, we want to make sure we're maintaining and on top of. So those 2 roles are before you for your consideration.
Are there questions for the Executive Director? I have my normal questions. Are these in the budget?
They are.
Okay, thank you. And I'm presuming since they're technology positions, they're not attorneys?
We'll see what we get for candidates.
Okay. Fair enough. Do we need a vote on this, or?
We do.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So can I ask for a motion, please, to approve the 2 job descriptions that the Executive Director just went through? Can I have a second, please? Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. Again, since Commissioner McBride is not here in person yet, we'll do a voice vote. Commissioner McBride, can I have your vote, please?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Doyle?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Commissioner Title?
Aye.
Commissioner Flanagan?
Aye.
Let the record show that the commission unanimously approved the vote to approve those 2 new positions. Also, you kind of briefly mentioned the transition from the state system to our own network and system. I just wanted to acknowledge the hard work. Dave McKenna, is he here?
Yes.
our Chief Technology Officer who's led this. I just wanted to acknowledge both his vision and his leadership and his hard work in terms of getting that done. I know we've got more work to do, and there's certainly some new and I think important improvements to the system over the next couple of weeks in terms of the virtual gateway and our licensing portal. I just wanted to acknowledge and thank you for your leadership on this.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
As well as adding printers and other equipment.
As well as, yeah, help me get my printer online, please. Let's all celebrate that for a second. Mr. Executive Director.
So you touched on two things I think are just important updates for the commission. First is that migration of the virtual gateway. Their notices have been sent out to patients and clinicians relative to kind of claiming their identification on the new system. That is underway today. What that will allow, and there's no deadline to do that, it's more of just a notice that we are transitioning. As the commission will recall, we embarked a number of months ago on essentially building out a new virtual gateway that we would maintain and control, consistent with our technology migration. That is set to go live on Tuesday the 21st. Both systems there'll be some redundancy for a time just to make sure that the transition is in fact successful. But what that will allow us to do ourselves as an agency is I hopefully identify and manage some of the challenges we've experienced around getting, if there's a new MTC that comes online and needs access to the virtual gateway, it being monitored or maintained by a separate state agency requires, it's been productive, but still a collaboration and a separation of that functionality. We will now maintain that in-house, as well as the patient registration process itself. We'll realize a lot of efficiencies around an API with the RMV to identify an individual's identity, with the fee being removed, that is now eliminated. And if the certification itself is valid with a clinician, that process can now be a bit more automated and much less manual, which should make the process much more efficient. So that, I think, will be the patient experience and the RMD or MTC experience, as well as the provider experience, should be significantly improved, but it also gives us a lot more control over the future evolution of that as well. The next phase of that project will be to bring the pediatric application online as well. Right now, that's still maintained as a paper-based application. That development is underway today as well. So all those improvements are forthcoming, but the flipping the switch of the virtual gateway will occur on Tuesday, the 21st.
Great.
Also on the 21st, the medical marijuana treatment center application, which historically had been a paper-based application, will also go online. That'll be within the Mass Cannabis Industry Portal, Mass CIP, and again, will be a new application that will be available and allowed to be submitted. That, I think we've talked about before as well, will give us a lot more similar data to that which we retain on the adult use side, but will also bring the application process completely in-house and under one umbrella system. So that also will occur on the 21st.
That's great. I think both those are really important accomplishments, so thank you.
Related to the migration on the 21st with the medical marijuana treatment center application, the next phase would be to take the adult use application consistent with the regulatory change implemented or adopted in November, to make that the one submission date of those 4 packets, not 4 individual submission dates. That evolution is also occurring. Why that won't be live on the 21st really deals with data migration. Sure. There are existing applications that are pending. We want to make sure those successfully migrate into the new environment. That should occur over the next few weeks, though. So that's happening as well.
Thank you very much. Anything else before we get into your standard update?
One last piece is just for the Commission's notification, as well as for the public's information, is before you have a draft of the seed to sale tracking guidance. What I would like to do is rather than ask you to adopt it today, is actually post it to our website and seek public comment on it, particularly because industry will be dealing with this directly, and I think it's important for us to solicit and secure their feedback prior to bringing it to you for your consideration. This has been generated by a number of conversations. As you know, there is an existing seed to sale guidance. That guidance has brought a lot of questions and interpretation questions to staff, especially to our investigators in the field. We've done, I think, a valiant effort to compile them and in some cases on the fly clarify things, but it also, I think, demonstrated a need to update the guidance. So based on that feedback, we have a version that would, my intention would be to post to our website, seek public comment on, then hopefully by the March meeting bring you, knowing that the February meeting is coming up quickly, and allow for appropriate window for folks to review it, digest it, and hopefully bring us some good, thoughtful comment that we can then bring to you as a commission and incorporate in any changes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on that from the commission? Commissioner Title?
I have two questions. One, thank you for all of your work on those transition. I know it's a lot of upfront work for efficiencies that we'll see immediately and down the line. So that's really great to see, and smart decision making, I think. My question is, can you repeat what patients and clinicians need to do?
Sure. So there's, they should have received an email relative to essentially claiming your login. And so a patient, when they, today in the virtual gateway environment, renew their registration, or if a clinician goes in their profile to update a patient's information, they log into the virtual gateway. There is now essentially a new login through our JD software partner that they just need to claim. And so they should have received an email. We can also, there's information available on our website. Again, as I mentioned, there's no deadline to do that. It's just the next time you go to log in, you just need to make sure that the username, password, et cetera, carries over. And so to get ahead of that, to make sure there is no service disruption, we've advised patients and clinicians about kind of the process to that. I don't want to give misinformation in this context, so I would say information is available on our website as to how to do that. Again, it's not the next time you go to log in. I want to caution folks to get ahead of that, so that way they don't stumble through the process, and just that they can kind of secure that information ahead of time before they ultimately do need it. But it really is just that data migration. So it's in the new environment, and it's claiming that identification.
And the other question is, people may know this from our email signatures, but our mass.gov email addresses may not be working anymore, so people need to be aware.
That's a great point. So as part of the technology transition, as I mentioned, we are no longer within the mass.gov platform or portal. We are now in the CCC Mass environment. And so for a while, and this is still, there was a date certain as far as when the mass.gov emails would no longer forward. That is now passed, and I would not count on an extension of that. So anticipating that, and you might have seen if you've emailed a commissioner or anyone on the staff that there is a signature tag representing that. Everything is now the naming convention is first name dot last name at cccmass.com. And so there'll be other changes that roll out over time, including website and everything else, but that'll be an iterative process. But it's a great point that mass.gov will no longer push to the new environment. So we now may maintain the excuse that we didn't get that email.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments particularly on the seed-to-sale guidance? So we'll plan on having that on our March agenda.
Correct. So that should be posted to our website, and there'll be information as far as how to submit public comment, consistent with our regulatory process in the past of emailing it to Cannabis Commission or commission@cccmass.com.
Thank you. Anything else? Should we get into your standard update?
I'm ready for that now.
Great. Let's see if my clicker's ready for that. Apparently, there we go. Mr. Executive Director.
Sure. So again, typical slides are normal information packet. This is relative to the licensing portal as we see it today, as far as those applications that have submitted all 4 packets and are therefore pending review. You'll see the grand total is 437. The majority, 180, are that of a marijuana retailer, and the second most is marijuana cultivation at 128.
Seems to be a little bit of a lag between my clicking and the slide changing, but go ahead.
So this 258 number represents those that have been approved by the commission, and you'll see that the majority, 104, that of marijuana retailer. Again, these are the applications that have been approved for licensure to date, totaling 258. Of those 258 that have been approved, this is further insight as to where those applications or now licenses are in the process. You'll see the majority maintain that provisional license status. You secure your provisional license after approval, but also after submission of the license fee. 33 have yet to pay their fee. Those are primarily the ones that were approved most recently. 24 have secured a final license, and 80 entities have commenced their operations.
Thank you. Any questions?
This next slide here is relative to the priority or expedited status as far as application pending. There was a request recently to break the expedited review out a bit further. So to accomplish that, you'll see there's 63 applications that have been identified for expedited review. Of those, 16 were expedited just based on their license type, again, micro-business, craft cooperative, outdoor cultivation, as well as independent testing lab. 14 entities are participants in the social equity program. 28 have identified as a minority, women, or veteran-owned business, and 5 actually qualify for 2 or more categories within that.
And if I'm correct, several of the provisional licenses that are up for review today come from the expedition policy, is that correct?
That is correct. So that policy has been implemented, and I mentioned in the past too, this number, as a result of some of the, especially the minority, women, or veteran-owned business category, is fluid because folks are actively identifying as that, and the process that we've identified to secure that status does include some interaction with the Supplier Diversity Office of the Commonwealth. And so as folks get down and actually secure that status, they'll be shifted
But
into
it makes sense that today we're seeing for the first time people that have gone through the expediting policy, given that we approved it X number of months ago and 90 days plus or minus have transpired since then. Is that correct?
That's correct. So especially those that are their specific license type. And so there is it's a great point as far as the timing of it is as that policy has been implemented, it has secured at least an initial review. And if as folks work through that process, the sequence would allow for now in the next several meetings, seeing a wave of those applications.
Great. That's good to see that happen. Thank you. Anything else or any other questions? Commissioner Title?
I just want to flag that our staff uploaded an expedited review document. So if an applicant thinks that they would qualify, they should go and review that and see the process for how to become one of these expedited applicants.
Thank you.
So along those lines, that's a great point as well, is every applicant in the portal was notified that if you believe you may qualify for this status, this is the process. But knowing that applications come in on a regular or routine basis, that affidavit form has also been posted to the site.
Great. Thank you.
These next few slides pertain to the disadvantaged business enterprise statistics that are submitted by the applicants. You'll see that the majority, 573 or 82%, did not identify as a DBE business. And again, this data point is collected at the initial application stage, and data prior to that policy change really was essentially a check the box so it was submitted by the applicant and not really further scrutinized by us, given now with the significance of expedition or the expedited policy, this is something that also will be fluid as folks identify further or do not qualify for that status.
Okay. Thank you.
This slide here kind of indicates a bit of our workflow internally relative to the queue. And so as you'll see, 167 applications are awaiting their initial review. 175 applications have been reopened and also requested additional information from the applicant. 69 applications are awaiting a third-party response. Again, that's a background check or a municipal response. 26 are before you for consideration today. And again, to date, 262 have been considered by the Commission.
Thank you.
This is, again, a standard slide relative to the volume of applications that have been received by the Commission. You'll see there's an additional 31 that have been received since the Commission's last meeting or kind of data pull and where they reside or where they intend to be located across the Commonwealth based on county. Related to that, the previous slide, this is just retail applications, again, and where they're slated to be located across the Commonwealth based on county, and you'll see that difference between the last meeting is an additional 17 applications. This slide here indicates, based on license type, where applications or licenses are in our global process. Again, pending applications, if an application has been considered and denied or approved, if it's a provisional license, final license, or commence operations. And again, you see the predominant volume is 285 total applications for retail, 211 for cultivation, 162 for product manufacture, but again, where they stand in our process globally.
Thank you. Are there questions?
The next several slides pertain to agent registrations in the context of adult use applications. Agent registrations run through our Mass CIP, the Cannabis Industry Portal, you'll see there's a total of 10,898 agent applications. That said, there's 7,281 active registrations. The workload of the commission staff is really the 169 applications. 27 have just not yet been reviewed. 138 are awaiting additional information or require additional information. 4 are awaiting a third-party response, which is laboratory agents requiring the fingerprinting. And as they're approved or considered on a rolling basis, 0 are therefore pending for approval.
Thank you.
Additional demographics relative to agent registrations, you'll see that the majority, or 66%, identify as male. Additional demographics relative to race and ethnicity, you'll see that 74%, or 5,520, identify as white. So this information here, we'll dig into a bit further going forward, but it was requested by
I appreciate
several
your
commissioners.
responsiveness, Yes.
This is kind of a comparison of information to date based on historical data as well, and you'll see that there has not been much shift. This is the first slide here is relative to gender. You'll see that back in October of 2018, 66% identified as male. As of today's meeting, 66% identify as male. Again, relative to race and ethnicity, in October of 2018, 70% identified as white. Today, or as of January 10th, 74% identify as white. And so the context that I would provide the commission here is this is agent registration information that's provided to the commission. These are folks that are employees of industry. And so this is information we capture, we maintain, and we ask for on applications. And again, in response to commissioner questions, we'll continue to dig into this information and see what it tells us.
Great. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay.
This additional information is relative to medical use of marijuana program statistics. Again, as I mentioned, the value of bringing that application into the portal will give us a little bit more insight and information relative to applications. This information is based on historical data relative to the paper-based process. And you'll see again that there's 36 applications pending in the application of intent stage, 15 pending in the management operations profile, 6 in citing. 100 applications have expired. 3 have been withdrawn for a total of 160. As far as licensure, you'll see that 92 maintain a provisional license, 7 maintain a final license, 56 entities have commenced their operations, and 10 licenses have expired.
Thank you.
Again, relative to agents and agent registration, you'll see there's a total of 8,597. That said, 5,400 are active. On the right-hand side is additional information relative to certified patients, certified active caregivers, as well as clinician information.
Questions or comments? Thank you. I think that's it.
That is.
Yes,
I have a question,
Commissioner Flanagan?
and it's going to end up being rhetorical because no one's going to answer it today, but can you go back to that diversity of agent registrations slide? I think you passed it.
Well, you want, or the
With
change?
the breakdown.
The change over time?
Yeah, the breakdown.
This one? Or the
Yeah.
gender?
So my question for the industry is, we go through diversity plans each and every time we sit at this table to approve licenses. And each and every person that comes before us tells us they have a diversity plan, that they're going to start hiring people with different ethnic backgrounds. And we have a 70% and 74% white workforce. So I guess my question to the industry is, where are your diversity plans? Because looking at these numbers, and I know that I think the diversity plans come to us, once a year upon renewal? I'm not convinced that they're being implemented, nor are they being executed, but yet people are telling us that they want to include people in this industry that have previously been prohibited from working. So I think as the roundtable discussions go, I might try to include to the industry members and those that are from the CBA and CDA and all the rest of the organizations, why is this the way this is? Because I'm not a mathematician. My background's in mental health. I can analyze you all day, but not this. Why is this the way this is? Why is this at 74 and 70? And we're sitting here talking about positive impact plans and diversity plans. And so I think now it's time to turn the tables, having been here for almost 2 years, to say, this needs to get fixed. And I'm hoping that as we go out through the state and have discussions with people, that we're going to get answers to this, because I don't think it's acceptable, and I don't agree with it. And that's why I'm saying it's rhetorical, because the people in the audience probably have the answers that I'm looking for, not the commission. So I guess you can go on notice that I want to know why everybody working in there is not part of the diversity plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Title?
So I couldn't agree more. I think that when we are looking at renewals, we have had a lot of them that were pulled out because the applicant or the licensee didn't follow their diversity plan. I think we're seeing that pretty consistently. And that makes sense. That's consistent with the results we're seeing. So I would suggest that, and I brought this up before, I think that we should have a meeting we should have an agenda item at the next meeting in February, especially in advance of our new regulatory process, to discuss how we can refine the diversity plan requirements and perhaps the elements and programs to make sure that best practices are not only included in the plans, but actually being followed.
Thank you, Commissioner Title. As you saw, I just made a note, and that will be on the agenda in February. Any other questions or comments for the Executive Director before we move on? Then let me ask if we could just jump back in the agenda and take care of minutes. Now that we have Commissioner McBride, we have a full quorum here. There's two sets of minutes to be discussed and approved. The first is December 19th, 2019. Can I ask, has the Commission had a chance to review those minutes, and are there any questions or comments? Then may I ask, please, for a motion to approve the minutes from December 19th, 2019? Can I have a second, please? Second. Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the minutes from December 19th, 2019. The second set of minutes are from January 9th, 2020. Can I ask, has the Commission had a chance to review those minutes? Are there any questions? Then please could I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 9th, 2020? Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the minutes from January 9th, 2020. We are now caught up, so thank you very much. Moving on in the agenda. We have three staff recommendations for change of location. We'll treat these individually. Mr. Potvin, are you prepared to lead the conversation on this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So can we start, please, with Four Daughters Compassionate Care Incorporated, please?
The licensee here is Four Daughters Compassionate Care. They're planning on changing their location from 1200 Providence Highway in Sharon to 24 Merchant Street, Sharon. So the same municipality. And this is for their MTC provisional license and just their dispensing location. Commission staff therefore recommend review and decision on this request of change of location, and if approved, requests that it be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions? Then may I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Four Daughters Compassionate Care Incorporated?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please? Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for change of location for Four Daughters Compassionate Care Incorporated. Next, the Green Harbor Dispensary, LLC. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is the Green Harbor Dispensary, LLC. Their current location is 45 Court Street in Provincetown, Mass. They're planning on changing locations to 79 Shank Painter Road, also in Provincetown, Mass. And the license that would be transferred is their medical provisional license for their dispensing location. Therefore, Commission staff recommend review and decision on this request, and if approved, request that the approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments? May I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for change of location for the Green Harbor Dispensary, LLC?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Green Harbor Dispensary, LLC. The final change of location is Emerald Grove Incorporated. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Emerald Grove Incorporated. Their current location is 3 Main Street, Unit 20 in Eastham. The license that's being transferred would be their MTC provisional license for dispensing, and they will be moving to 3 Main Street, Unit 1, also in Eastham. Therefore, Commission staff recommend review and decision on this request of change of location, and if approved, request that your approval be subject to the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments? Then may I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Emerald Grove Incorporated change of location? Can I have a second, please? Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Emerald Grove Incorporated change of location. Thank you very much. Are there any other changes of location at this time?
No, sir.
Thank you. The next agenda item are renewals. We have a large number of renewals. As you will recall, our policy on renewals is to treat them as a roster unless one or more commissioners request that we take one or more out from the roster to discuss individually. So I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible what we're doing. But before I do that, I know Commissioner, whatever her name is, Commissioner Doyle would like to make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Doyle would be the name, yeah.
Would you do me a favor? I mean, they all know who you are. Could I just like turn your
There
names
we
like
go.
this?
Yeah, hopefully that'll help. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to propose a global motion to apply to any applicable licenses determined by the licensing department as followed. Any medical marijuana treatment center or any adult license applicant or licensee seeking renewal that has used priority MTC status and has a non-operational medical marijuana treatment center license shall have an additional condition added to any approval granted here today to update their timeline.
Thank you, Commissioner Doyle. Are there questions for Commissioner Doyle? And so that was a formal motion you just made.
I did.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Title. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the motion of Commissioner Doyle. Thank you very much for doing that. So with respect to renewals, again, I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible. So we will treat them as a roster with the following exceptions. B and C, Rise Holdings Incorporated. D, Sanctuary Medicinals. Going on to the next slide. M, Pioneer Valley Extracts, LLC. N, LDE Holdings, LLC. O, Garden Remedies Incorporated. And P, Urban Growth Incorporated. So what I will ask is that we go through the ones that we've removed individually, and then we'll go through the roster of the remainders, if that's okay. So if you can do this in the sequence, I'd really appreciate it, Mr. Potvin. Can we start with Rise Holdings Incorporated, MPR 243506, Product Manufacturer Renewal? Are you comfortable jumping around a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you. So Rise Holdings would be the first.
So Rise Holdings, MPR 243506, they have in fact paid all their fees. They've submitted their certificates of good standing, and they have been inspected over the past year. Commission staff do recommend review and decision on the above license, and if approved, request that their approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with the Commission's regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Title?
I'd like to add a condition to update the progress report with the metrics included in the initial positive impact plan, specifically the employee surveys, the questions of which were included in the positive impact plan, and focus groups for qualitative measurement, as well as external auditing and a workforce utilization report for quantitative measurement.
Then can I ask, please, for a motion to approve the renewal for Rise Holdings MPR 243506, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Rise Holdings Incorporated MPR 243506, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. The next that we're going to consider individually is also Rise Holdings MCR 139857, cultivation renewal. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here, as you stated, was Rise Holdings. Their application is MCR 139857. They have submitted their renewal application, which included disclosures of their progress and success towards their positive impact and diversity plans. They have submitted all their certificates of good standing and have paid the appropriate annual license fee. Therefore, staff recommend review and decision on that renewal license, and if approved, request that your approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with the Commission's regulations and law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Title?
I'd like to add the same condition, please.
Can I then ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation on the renewal of Rise Holdings Incorporated MCR 139857, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the renewal for Rise Holdings Incorporated MCR 139857, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Title. The next renewal to be considered individually is Sanctuary Medicinals LLC MRR 205551. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Sanctuary Medicinals. Their location is in Brookline. The licensee has submitted their renewal application, which included their disclosure of their progress and success towards their positive impact and diversity plans. They have submitted all their certificates of good standing and paid their annual license fee. Therefore, staff recommend review and decision on this renewal license, and if approved, request that the approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with Commission regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Title?
I'd like to add a condition to update the progress report on the diversity plan to address two things. One, there was a goal to maintain diverse organization, vendor, and contractor spending at or above 20% of total related expenses. I'd like to know what the actual number was. And then two, the original diversity plan mentioned an audit report, which was to be completed by the Sanctuary CEO.
Thank you. Then can I please have a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Sanctuary Medicinals LLC MRR 205551, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Doyle, or Commissioner Title, excuse me.
So moved.
Can I have let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Sanctuary Medicinals LLC MRR 205551, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Title. Thank you. Let me go to the next slide. The next that will be considered individually is M Pioneer Valley Extracts LLC MPR 243504, product manufacturer renewal. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Pioneer Valley Extracts LLC, located in Northampton. The licensee did submit their renewal application, which included their disclosure of progress or success towards their positive impact and diversity plans. They have submitted all of their certificates of good standing and paid the annual license fee. Therefore, Commission staff recommend review and decision on this license, and if approved, request that the approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with Commission regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Title.
I'd like to add a condition to update both the positive impact plan and diversity plan progress reports. They essentially did not include an update and had an explanation as to being early in the process, but there were several things in the plan that they could have done. For example, one program was to establish relationships with career centers or other community organizations in a certain area. They could update us on whether they've established those relationships.
Thank you. Then can I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Pioneer Valley Extracts LLC MPR 243504, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Title? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Pioneer Valley Extracts MPR 243504, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Title. The next one to be considered individually is LDE Holdings LLC MRR 205553. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is LDE Holdings LLC, located in Wareham. The licensee did submit a renewal application that included their progress and success towards their positive impact and diversity plans. The licensee did submit all of their certificates of good standing and paid their annual license fee. Therefore, Commission staff recommend review and decision on this license, and if approved, request that the approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with Commission regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Title.
I'd like to add the same condition as the previous one. They didn't provide an update and noted it was because they hadn't begun hiring, but there were other elements of the plan. For example, assembling a committee comprised of workers, management, hiring managers, owners, and members of the local community of Wareham. Have they assembled that committee? Also, have they hired any contractors? And are the contractors disproportionately harm people as noted in the plan?
Thank you, Commissioner Title. May I ask, please, therefore, for a motion to approve the staff recommendations for LDE Holdings LLC, MRR 205553, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Title? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for LDE Holdings LLC, MRR 205553, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Title. We're going to skip now to P, Urban Grown Incorporated, MCR 139859. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Urban Grown Inc., located in Watley. The licensee did submit their renewal application that included their disclosure of progress or success towards their positive impact and diversity plan. The licensee did submit all their certificates of good standing and paid their annual license fee. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend review and decision on this license and request that, if approved, that the approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with Commission regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Title?
I'd like to add a condition. This is Urban Grown, right? To update with a diversity plan progress report, because the plan noted that Urban Grown will keep records of applicants and hires and continually make adjustments to ensure we meet our diversity goals and hiring decisions, but there was no indication in the progress report that such records were kept.
Thank you, Commissioner Title. May I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Urban Grown Incorporated, MCR 139859, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title?
So moved.
Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Urban Grown Incorporated, MCR 139859, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Title. Okay. The last one, I believe, is recusal, right? So the last one we're going to consider individually on this list is O, Garden Remedies. Commissioner Title is recusing herself from this discussion. So next up, Mr. Potvin, Garden Remedies Incorporated, MRR 205559.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Garden Remedies Incorporated, located in Marlborough. The licensee did submit a renewal application that included their progress and success towards their positive impact and diversity plans. They have submitted all their certificates of good standing and paid their annual license fee. Therefore, Commission staff recommend review and decision on this license, and if approved, request that the approval be subject to the licensee remaining in compliance with Commission regulations and applicable law.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Flanagan.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like them to update us on where their Community Relations Board stands.
You like that additional condition? Any other comments? We will. I'll ask for a motion in a second, but then we'll do an individual voice vote since Commissioner Title is recused. So, can I ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation on renewal for Garden Remedies Incorporated, MRR 205559, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan? Can I have such a motion, please? Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Oh, Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote? Aye. Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Commissioner Doyle?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride? Let the record show that the Commission approved the staff recommendation for Garden Remedies Incorporated, MRR 205559, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan by a vote of 4 in favor. Commissioners Flanagan, Hoffman, Doyle, and McBride, with Commissioner Title recusing herself. Thank you. May I ask the Commission, are there any other renewal actions that they would like to consider individually before I ask for a vote on the remaining roster? Okay. So I'm just for good housekeeping, the ones that are remaining, I'll go back to the previous slide, are A, HVV Massachusetts Incorporated, E, Herbology Group Incorporated, F, Mass Alternative Care, G, Mass Alternative Care, H, Mass Alternative Care, I, Garden Remedies, J, Apotheca, K, Apotheca, L, Apotheca, Q, In Good Health, R, In Good Health, S, Nova Farms, LLC. Can I ask for a motion, please, to approve the staff recommendation on those renewals? What do you, there's two Garden Remedy ones.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Oh,
like the same condition.
Yeah,
for
did you need,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I missed it. You always told me there was one. So, yeah, let's do, I'm sorry, I truly apologize.
No problem.
So the last one then we will consider individually is Garden Remedies. Is there a separate report, Ms. Puffin? No, then, and you would like the same condition, Commissioner Flanagan? So then may I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Garden Remedies Incorporated MRR 205550, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Commissioner Flanagan, your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman, aye. Commissioner Doyle?
Aye.
Commissioner McBride? Thank you. Let the record show that the Commission approved the staff recommendation for renewal of Garden Remedies MRR 205550, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. The vote was 4 in favor. Commissioners Flanagan, Hoffman, Doyle, and McBride, with Commissioner Title recusing herself. Thank you. Thank you for catching that. Sorry about that. So, again, just to make sure that the record is completely accurate, the remaining roster that we will vote on right now is A, HVV Massachusetts Incorporated, E, Herbology Group Incorporated, F, G, and H, Mass Alternative Care, J, K, and L, Apotheca, Q and R, In Good Health, and S, Nova Farms LLC. Can I have a motion, please, to approve those renewals? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the roster of renewals that I just articulated. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Ms. Poppin. Commissioner Title, what did I do now?
Just could I make a very quick comment?
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to say that in some of the renewals that just passed, the diversity plan and positive impact plan progress reports were spectacular, above and beyond. And it's unfortunate that we don't, we're not grading them, but I just wanted to recognize them.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for renewals. Am I correct, Mr. Potvin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And underlying all of this is, the staff work that goes behind the inspections and the evaluations and preparation for these meetings. So to you and the remainder of the licensing team, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll repeat that as we go through the next set of licenses. So the next item on the agenda are 5 final licenses. Again, our policy is to vote on these as a roster unless a commissioner has asked for them to be treated separately. So in this case, we will pull A and B. T-Bear and Theory Wellness, we'll pull them out and treat them individually, and then we'll vote on the remaining 3 as a roster. So can we start with T-Bear Incorporated, MP 281314, product manufacturer, Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is T-Bear Incorporated. The location is 3103 Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, Mass. They are seeking a final license for product manufacturing. They were issued a provisional license on November 20th of 2018. They were inspected on December 6th of 2019 and found to be in full compliance. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend final licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, then please can I have a motion to approve the staff recommendation for T-Bear Incorporated, MP 281314?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please? Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Commissioner Title?
Abstain.
Let the record show that the Commission approved the staff recommendation for a final license for T-Bear Incorporated, MP 281314, with a vote of 4 in favor. Commissioners Flanagan, Hoffman, Doyle, and McBride, with Commissioner Title abstaining. Thank you. Next, Theory Wellness Incorporated, MR 281835. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The licensee here is Theory Wellness Incorporated. The location is 672 Fuller Road in Chicopee. They're seeking a final license for retail operations. They were approved for a provisional license on May 30th of 2019. They were inspected on October 30th of 2019 and also again on November 13th of 2019. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend final licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions? And may I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Theory Wellness Incorporated, MR 281835, for a final license? Can I have such a motion, please? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Commissioner Title?
Abstain.
Let the record show that the Commission approved the staff recommendation for a final license for Theory Wellness Incorporated, MR 281835, by a vote of 4 in favor, Commissioners Flanagan, Hoffman, Doyle, and McBride, with Commissioner Title abstaining. Thank you. If there's no objection, I would like to treat the next 3 final licenses as a roster: Nature's Remedy of Massachusetts Incorporated, Revolutionary Clinics 2, and Solar Therapeutics Incorporated. Can I ask, please, for a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please? That was you, Commissioner Doyle, that made the motion? Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendations for those 3 final licenses by unanimous vote. Thank you. Any other final licenses, Mr. Potvin?
No, sir.
Okay, can I survey the Commission before we get into provisional licenses? Would people appreciate a break? Or require a break? Like a break? Mr. Potvin, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay, well, that's okay then. Let's start the provisional license process. We have, you said 26. I thought we have 27.
26 adult and 1 medical.
Fine, thank you. And as our executive director mentioned in his opening remarks, of these we have several economic empowerment applicants, as well as several that have moved to the front of the queue based upon our expediting policy. So if we could note those as we go through, I'd appreciate that, Mr. Potvin. Let us start then. Let me get to the right page on the agenda. Let's start with Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated, which is a vertically integrated medical marijuana treatment center. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated. Their cultivation and product manufacturing operations currently take place at 465 Hopping Brook Road in Holliston. This is their dispensary location for this application will be at 164 Grove Street in Franklin, Mass. The applicant here did execute a host community agreement with both towns. We did receive a municipal response from both towns as well. There were no concerns rising from the background checks on any of the individuals or entities associated with this application. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions, comments? Then please could I ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated, vertically integrated medical marijuana treatment center?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please? Second. Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation on a provisional license for Cannabis, Massachusetts Incorporated. Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Next one is Alchemy League, MRN 281275 retailer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Alchemy League. The proposed location is 1 Cabot Street in Holyoke, Mass. The license being sought here is a retail license. This applicant is an economic empowerment applicant. They did execute a host community agreement on July 29th of 2019. They did conduct a community outreach meeting, and the Commission did receive a municipal response from the municipality. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Commissioner McBride.
Mr. Potvin, could you tell us what the timeline was for when a completed application was submitted to the Commission that triggered review of this application? Because there have been some dates that have been thrown around, and I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of how long this application has been in our queue.
The original application, all 4 packets were represented to the Commission as being complete on May 1st of 2018. The commission did deem the application complete after finding that all the requirements had been satisfied on October 7th of 2019.
So between May and October, what happened?
Between May of 2018 and October of 2019, commission staff did review the application several times and did issue requests for information. There was a change of location within the application during a period of time. Originally, it was settled in Boston, and then the location did change to Holyoke, I believe in June of 2019, around there.
So what types of information was the reapplication, was the application reopened in order to obtain? When we talk about, for the example of a change in location, what does that trigger from our end on the commission, from licensing end?
So the general process is when the applicant does submit all 4 packets, we review the application as a whole. And then once we send out a request for information, the applicant responds. We check to see if our requests were answered and answered satisfactory. When an applicant changes their location mid-application, what has to happen is that, for example, if their property documentation, their location disclosure, their plan to remain in compliance with local ordinances has to be reviewed all over again because it's a new municipality. So some things have to be reviewed all over again, including a host community agreement certification.
So what happens in terms of our process about where does that application then fall in our queue? So if there's a change in, if the application is going through our process, licensing staff is reviewing it, and then there is a material change like that, what happens with that application and where it falls in terms of, other pending applications that we might have in the pipeline?
Well, it is reviewed again. Those changes and the things that kind of are contingent on that change are reviewed again, and the applicant is then sent another request for information if one is necessary. And then what happens is when the applicant reapplies, the standard of where they fall in the queue to be reviewed again is based on the commission's regulations. As you know, priority applicants get first review, cycling between medical MTC priority applicants and economic empowerment applicants. And then by the time that their original application was submitted. So when it comes in to have a supplemental review, they fall right back into that queue based on the commission's regulations.
How do we communicate that to the applicants?
Right now, I know we have a guidance out there that explains the license process. We also have a guidance on licensure that's updated that does dive into that information in more detail. But other than that, in the notice itself, it doesn't really go and explain that this is where they will fall back in. It does tell them that once they resubmit it, it will be reviewed again.
I guess, more generally speaking, how do we communicate to applicants that the application is being reopened? Is that communicated?
Absolutely. It's communicated as part of the request for information with clear instructions on how the information that needs to be submitted and how to submit it and the fact that it will be reviewed again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McBride and Mr. Potvin. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Tuttle?
I would like to add a condition that I frequently add, which is that the diversity plan be edited to revise the goal that 25% of hires come from groups including people of all gender identities and sexual orientations, to fix that typo. I know off the top of my head how many days this has been open because that's been discussed a lot. So kudos to you for raising awareness. And also for providing, yeah.
Go ahead. No.
And also providing us the knowledge that other people in your situation need to be heard, hence the forum. And giving the opportunity to the people coming to the forum to allow us to understand their challenges too. And I appreciate the opportunity to hear directly from applicants next week. Different things can be true at the same time. So I believe that sincerely. I also sincerely believe that all of the discussion about this application in particular has caused a lot of misconceptions to be raised about our process. I think the question and answers that we just had definitely help clarify our process, but it highlights to me that it will be helpful if we communicate to people exactly how our process works, just for the sake of understanding and also for the sake of finding ways to address concerns that people have. So I look forward to that process starting at the forum.
Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner McBride, sorry.
there in the security plan, page 7 at J1B2, it's just a minor edit, but one that I would suggest be made. It's a discussion about the keys and access to keys by employees. It states employee will attempt to have a duplicate made. I assume it should say employee will not attempt to have a duplicate made. So if that could just be
Okay.
amended.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Then please could I ask for a motion to approve the provisional license for Alchemy League MRN 281275, subject to the conditions requested by Commissioner Title and the amendment or the edit suggested by or requested by Commissioner McBride. Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Title. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for a provisional license for Alchemy League. MRN 281275. Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Next on the agenda is CTDW LLC, MRN 281844 retailer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is CTW LLC. The proposed location
Can you
is-
just, please, can I ask for silence so we can continue our work? Thank you. Thanks very much. Mr. Potvin, sorry.
Thank you. The applicant, again, is CTDW LLC. The proposed location
Whose
is...
phone is that? Can I please again request strongly that people turn their phones off or put them on silent? Thank you. Again, I apologize, Mr. Potvin. Go ahead.
The proposed location is 3 Dodge Street, located in Salem. The license being sought here is a retail license. The applicant did execute a host community agreement on December 20th of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held. The commission received a municipal response on November 4th of 2019. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments? Then please may I ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for a provisional license for CTDW LLC MRN 281844 retailer. Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for CTDW LLC MRN 281844. Thank you very much. We're going to treat these 3 elevates separately. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Different locations, correct. So next up is Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 281383 retailer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant here is Elevate Cannabis Incorporated. The proposed location is 14 South Main Street and located in Orange. The license being sought here is a retail license. The applicant did execute a host community agreement on November 1st of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held. The commission did receive a municipal response from the municipality on December 5th of 2019. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Commissioner McBride.
Mr. Potvin, so this is an applicant where there was...
Just a little closer. I think it's just hard for the people back.
This is an applicant where it's been very publicly reported that there were details or particular details that might raise some issues of control as we started to review this application. Can you talk a little bit about what our review process looked like? Did we look at agreements? Were those agreements satisfactory when we looked at them? I'm presuming that it's up here, for a recommendation for licensure, I assume that we looked at those. But can you talk a little bit about what our review process looked like, what we reviewed, and what the staff identified in that review?
Yes, absolutely. And you're absolutely correct. One of the investors here that's contributing capital resources was reviewed because they are affiliated with other licensees in some way, shape, or form. And the first goal is to see if there is ownership or control implications. Here, initially, it was unknown. So what happened is our director of investigations, our investigators, and also along with our enforcement counsel, did speak with and do an investigation of some type, where they were looking into what the nature of the relationship was between the investor and the applicant itself. They did review loan agreements. They did review other agreements and other documents as well. It was a very thorough investigation or review on the part of our investigators and also our enforcement counsel. At the end, what happened was our director of investigations, along with our enforcement counsel, found that the investor was providing capital resources for just repayment of a loan, and that there was actually no implication or no insinuation of any control or ownership that was being relayed as part of that loan.
So if we recollect what we've done in terms of our regulations,
Yes.
and particularly in our last round of regulations, we became, under the chair's guidance, very much more explicit in terms of pulling that apart and identified that loans of that nature were not going to trigger issues of control, correct?
Correct. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Tuttle?
Were there disclosures of, were there disclosures that raised suitability issues?
There were
I did not hear your question.
Were there disclosures that raised suitability issues?
there were no suitability issues that were identified.
I also, I just want to commend you for the way this was handled. And I encourage people to read the memo that's in the public meeting packet. It was a lot of different interests to balance, and I think that you handled it with complete integrity. And it really makes me proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tuttle, and I actually completely agree with that comment, so thank you to the entire enforcement and licensing staff on the work on this. And I guess you picked a good time to show up, Mr. Payer, just to hear that, but thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? And can I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 281383 retailer?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tuttle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation for Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 281383. Thank you. Mr. Potvin, next would be Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 281810, also retailer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the applicant here is Elevate Cannabis LLC. The proposed location is 243 Main Street, located in Athol. The license being sought here is a retail license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on August 7th of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held, and the commission did receive a municipal response on December 2nd of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with all local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Then can I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue provisional license to Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 281810?
So moved.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tuttle. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue provisional license to Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 281810. Excuse me. Yes, I got that right. I'm sorry. Next is also Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 282630, retailer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the applicant is Elevate Cannabis Incorporated. The proposed location is 217 Main Street, located in Williamstown. The license being sought here is a retail license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on March 25th of 2019. A community outreach meeting was held, and the commission did receive a municipal response on January 2nd of 2020, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Thank you. Then can I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 282630?
So moved.
Have a second, please? Second. Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tidal. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Elevate Cannabis Incorporated, MRN 282630. Thank you. Next up is Elevated Gardens, LLC, MCN 281448, Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Elevated Gardens LLC. The proposed location is 17 Taconic Park Drive, located in Pittsfield. The license being sought here is a Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on August 10th of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held, and the commission did receive a municipal response on November 8th of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Commissioner Flanagan?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question with the positive impact plan.
Commissioner Flanagan, could you take back the microphone?
Sorry, Kyle.
Thank you. We'll give it back to you. Don't worry, Kyle.
I have concerns with regards to the positive impact plan. I understand the fact that people would like to donate to different organizations. However, the goal of the positive impact plan is to positively impact the area in which have been designated as a DIA. So my question is, I'd like some clarity with the donation to C3RN and what activities or what events are going to specifically benefit those that are identified in the disproportionately impacted areas. I know C3RN does a lot of good work. I know that they are a statewide organization, but I'm just not sure how these studies are going to impact the community. And that is the intent of, that's our intent of these plans. So I'd like some clarification with that, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Flanagan. Are there other comments or questions? Then could I please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for Elevated Gardens LLC MCN 281448, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan?
So moved.
Let the record show that Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Elevated Gardens LLC MCN 281448, subject to the additional condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Thank you. Next is Fidelity Wellness Center Incorporated, MRN 282801, retailer. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant here is Fidelity Wellness Center Incorporated. The proposed location is 256 Weymouth Street, located in Rockland. The license being sought here is a retail license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on July 3rd of 2019. A community outreach meeting was held, and the commission did receive a municipal response from the municipality on December 5th of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Then can I please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Fidelity Wellness Group Incorporated, MRN 282801?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tidal. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Fidelity Wellness Center Incorporated, MRN 282801. Thank you. Next up is Green Railroad Group Incorporated, MRN 281745. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Green Railroad Group Incorporated. The proposed location is 82 Railroad Street, located in Great Barrington. The license being sought here is a retail license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on September 24th of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held. The commission did send a municipal notice to this town of Great Barrington on November 4th of 2019. To date, the commission has not received a municipal response. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Let me please then ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Green Railroad Group Incorporated, MRN 281745. Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Green Railroad Group Incorporated, MRN 281745. Next is Hampshire Hemp LLC, MRN 281867. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Hampshire Hemp LLC. The proposed location is 371-391 Damon Road, located in Northampton. The license being sought here is a retail license. The individual and the applicant and the municipality did execute a host community agreement on November 6th of 2019. A community outreach meeting was held on October 31st of 2019. The commission did receive a municipal response on November 6th of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend approval of a provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Any questions or comments? Then may I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Hampshire Hemp LLC, MRN 281867. I'm sorry, somebody help Commissioner Doyle out, please.
No need. So moved.
Have a second, please. Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license for Hampshire Hemp LLC, MRN 281867. Thank you. Next up is Ipswich Pharmaceutical Associates Incorporated, MCN 281749, which is Tier 2 outdoor cultivation. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Ipswich Pharmaceuticals Associates Incorporated. The proposed location is 0 Bullards Crossing Road, located in Hinsdale. The license being sought here is a Tier 2 outdoor cultivation license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on April 11th of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held, and to date, the commission did receive a municipal response on November 1st of 2019. We did send a municipal notice, my apologies. We sent a municipal notice to the town of Hinsdale on November 1st of 2019. To date, the commission has not received a response. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Commissioner McBride?
I think I just want to, I want to flag this one, actually, the licensee prior to this, the applicant prior to this also.
So Hampshire Hemp as well?
Yeah. So this isn't to hold up these applications, but it is to open the question, and I would, I guess, ask in this context our legal team to maybe define for us. We have 2 applicants that have that are using names like hemp, using names like pharmaceutical. That we have in our regulations under advertising, marketing, and branding that there's a prohibition on including statements by a licensee that makes any false statements concerning other licensees and the conduct and products of such other licensees that's deceptive, misleading, false, or fraudulent, or that tends to deceive or create a misleading impression, whether directly or by omission or ambiguity, and that's probably actually not the right piece to be pulling from our regs. But there is this idea of a name matters, right? And what it telegraphs to the world matters. And so I think we're in a position here where we shouldn't be naming businesses for people, certainly. But I do think that giving some thought to when you say something like pharmaceutical in your name, or you say something like hemp, where in fact, you are selling products that may not qualify as hemp, right? What is that telegraphing? So I just kind of put that out there. I think it's something for us to maybe be giving some thought to. And I would ask our legal team to maybe dive into that a bit and try to pull that apart a little bit.
That makes perfect sense. Would you like the legal team to do some work, and we'll ask, obviously, the executive director his thoughts, but then would you like this to be an agenda item at a future meeting after our legal team has had a chance to
I think we can talk about when it might fit in. Let's talk to the legal team about, where it kind of fits in, right, in their priorities. Okay. But perhaps, going into our next round of regulations, okay, maybe giving some thought to what it means and then whether we need to be clarifying, perhaps.
Fair enough. Mr. Executive Director, any comments?
My preference would be to fold it into those ongoing discussions versus take it off as an ad hoc analysis.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you for raising that. Are there any other comments before? Yes, Commissioner Tuttle.
I appreciate you raising that, Commissioner McBride. I agree, and I would ultimately defer to staff because I definitely wouldn't want to start a precedent where we just decide on the fly. That would be inconsistent and a bad approach, I think. But I was already planning to bring up that I'm deeply uncomfortable with this name, personally.
Thank you. So we have an agreement in terms of how we'll proceed on this. Are there any other comments or questions on Ipswich Pharmaceutical Associates Incorporated before I ask for a motion and a vote? Then please, could I have a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Ipswich Pharmaceutical Associates Incorporated, MCN 281749? Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
I'm sorry, I missed, Commissioner, let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Ipswich Pharmaceutical Associates Incorporated, MCN 281749. Next, how you doing, Mr. Poppin?
Doing well.
Good. You got some water there?
Yes, came prepared.
Next up is Jolly Green Incorporated, MCN 281283, Tier 1 Indoor Cultivation. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Jolly Green Incorporated. The proposed location is 60 Franklin Street in Winchendon, Mass. The license being sought here is a Tier 1 indoor cultivation license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on January 14th of 2019. The applicant did conduct a community outreach meeting. The commission did receive a municipal response from the municipality on November 4th of 2019 stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there any questions or comments? Then let me please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Jolly Green Incorporated, MCN 281283. Can I have such a motion, please?
Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Jolly Green Incorporated, MCN 281283. Thank you. Next up is LDE Holdings, LLC, MPN 281436. Mr. Potvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is LDE Holdings, LLC. The proposed location is 6 Thatcher Lane, located in Wareham, Mass. The license being sought here is a product manufacturing license. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on June 21st of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held, and the commission did receive a municipal response from the municipality on November 4th of 2019 stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments? Then could I ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation for LDE Holdings, LLC, MPN 281436? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to LDE Holdings, LLC, MPN 281436. Thank you. Next is it's DIA or DIA?
Dia.
Yeah.
DIA, I'm sorry, I apologize to the proprietors. Next is new DIA, MRN 281269. This, I believe, is an economic empowerment applicant. Is that correct, Mr. Potvin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Please go ahead.
The applicant here is New Dia. The proposed location is 118 Cambridge Street, located in Worcester, Mass. The license being sought here is a retail license. And as the chairman already pointed out, this is an economic empowerment applicant. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on April 24th of 2019. The community outreach meeting was held on August 12th of 2019. The commission sent a municipal notice to the city of Worcester on November 4th of 2019. To date, the commission has not received a response. Therefore, commission staff do recommend approval of a provisional licensure with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Are there questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Flanagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions and concerns regarding the positive impact plan. I want to commend them for their goal of educational workshops. However, I do have a concern around the messaging with regards to responsible marijuana use. I think we need to see what that education profile is going to be. And also, the piece of their plan that talks to their security plan. We have a security plan requirements for each individual business, and I don't think that putting surveillance systems on the establishment's exterior is necessarily a positive impact plan as much as it is a security requirement. So I'd like them to go back and either remove this from the plan or come up with something else.
Thank you, Commissioner Flanagan. Are there any other comments or questions? Then please could I ask for a motion to, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Titlebaum.
Sorry.
You were too subtle for me.
I was too subtle. My apologies. First, just want to note that this is another economic empowerment applicant, and they are continuing to move through the process. So I want to echo what Commissioner Flanagan said, but just be slightly more specific. So I'd like to add a condition to remove the goal, or refine the condition to remove the goal of improving the security profile of the surrounding community, both because, as Commissioner Flanagan said, it's already required to have surveillance systems in the parking lot, and nothing that's already required should be in a plan. But I just want to take that a bit further because, and I think the rest of the plan was great and sufficient on its own, so I don't think anything else needs to be added, and maybe they were just trying to cover all their bases. But to indicate in a plan like this that the metric is to ensure there are no illicit activities and to maintain a record of illicit activities, I think is a misunderstanding of what the positive impact plan is and who and how it's meant to benefit.
Thank you, Commissioner Tuttle. Any other comments or questions? Then can I please ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Nudia MRN 281269, subject to the conditions requested by Commissioners Flanagan and Tittle. Can I have such a motion, please? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner McBride made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Tittle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Nudia, subject to the additional conditions requested by Commissioners Flanagan and Tittle. Thank you. Next up is Roaring Glen Farms, LLC, CON 281373, which is a craft marijuana cooperative, Tier 11 outdoor. And apropos of our previous conversation, this is one of the beneficiaries, one of the first beneficiaries of the expediting policy that we initiated as a commission. So I'm excited to see this on the agenda. Mr. Potvin. Roaring Glen.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant here is Roaring Glen Farms, LLC. The location is 40 Watley Glen Road, located in Conway, Mass. The license being sought is a craft marijuana cooperative license, which they are seeking just to cultivate at this point, Tier 11 outdoor. The applicant did end up receiving expedited process. They had submitted their application previous to the policy being adopted and approved, but then was given expedited process because of the license type, not only craft marijuana cooperative, but the fact that they will be cultivating outdoors.
Correct.
The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on March 18th of 2019. The applicant did conduct a community outreach meeting. The commission did receive a municipal response on November 18th of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, commission staff do recommend issuing a provisional license with the conditions before you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Flanagan.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like them to clean up the positive impact plan a little bit. There's 3 different discrepancies, which I think they're trying to get to the same point. The first is said that it's going to continue its work started with the residents of Greenfield, but then it goes down to say that it's going to hire and recruit people from nearby areas of disproportionately impacted areas. And then it goes on to say examples of Greenfield, Amherst, and West Springfield. So I'd like to know specifically what areas of disproportionately impacted towns they're going to be working with, and just kind of clarify that, please.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner McBride.
So as part of the application with the business plan, there's a statement under security that they are requesting a waiver from high security as this is an outdoor site located in and surrounded by forest. I didn't see in the write-up that there was a waiver request. Were there any waivers requested?
No.
Okay. Thank you. The other question I had was if there are additional cooperative members added here, would that trigger for us a change of control or a licensing change that we would be reviewing?
Yes, most likely. But again, it would depend on the facts of the particular change. Also, this being our first craft marijuana cooperative, and knowing that it is in fact unique than all the other license types, but I believe that enforcement in general would try to apply the current standards to any type of proposed change.
Thank you.
So no conditions, Commissioner McBride? Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Title?
I don't have any conditions, but I would just like to express my giddiness watching the expedition policy take place, because I believe they identified themselves in their application as not just a co-op and outdoor cultivator, but also a social equity program participant, a veteran-owned business, and a women-owned business.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Then please could I ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Roaring Glen Farms LLC, CON 281373, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan.
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second?
I think Commissioner McBride won that one. Let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Roaring Glen Farms LLC, CON 281373, subject to the condition requested by Commissioner Flanagan. Thank you. This is an important milestone, so good luck to the applicant. Next, are these separate or are they co-located?
They're co-located.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Next are Royalston Farm LLC, MCN 281430, which is Tier 2 indoor cultivation, and Royalston Farm LLC, MPN 281544, product manufacturer. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant here is Royalston Farms LLC. The proposed location is 130 South Royalston Road, located in Royalston, Mass. The two licenses being sought are a Tier 2 indoor cultivation license and a product manufacturing license. The applicant on the executive summary is disclosed as a general applicant, but they did eventually receive expedited review because an individual, one of the owners of this establishment, is a social equity participant. The applicant and municipality did execute a host community agreement on January 8th of 2019. A community outreach meeting was held, and the municipal response was received from the municipality on December 19th of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend issuing provisional licenses with the conditions before you.
Thank you very much. We'll have one discussion, but two separate votes here. Are there any comments or questions on this application or these two applications? Okay, then could I ask please for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Royalston Farm LLC, MCN 281430, Tier 2 indoor cultivation? Can I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second?
Sorry, that was Commissioner Flanagan. So let the record show that Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Flanagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Royalston Farm LLC, MCN 281430. Thank you very much. Let me also ask, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Royalston Farm LLC, MPN 281544, product manufacturer. Can I have such a motion, please? Can I have a second?
Second.
Let the record show Commissioner Flanagan made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Royalston Farm LLC, MPN 281544. Thank you very much. Next is Tetramed LLC, MCN 281611, Tier 4 indoor cultivation. Mr. Potvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, the applicant here is Tetramed LLC. The proposed location is 85 Winter Street, located in Gardner. The license being sought here is a Tier 4 indoor cultivation license. The applicant did execute a host community agreement on August 21st of 2018. A community outreach meeting was held, and the Commission did receive a municipal response on November 1st of 2019, stating that the applicant was in compliance with local ordinances or bylaws. Therefore, Commission staff do recommend the issuance of a provisional license with the conditions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Commissioner Flanagan.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like some clarification in the positive impact plan with the towns that they are going to partner with who are disproportionately impacted, and have been identified through our list. The plan says in and around Gardner. And to my knowledge, Fitchburg is the only city that abuts Gardner that would be considered DIA. So if they could just clarify if Fitchburg is the town or if they're going to partner with any other or impact any other communities, I'd be appreciative.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Tuttle?
Sorry, this is Tetramed, right?
Tetramed, yes.
Okay. I'd like to add a condition for an update on the diversity plan goals because 20% of individuals from all of these different categories, including women, is objectively unreasonable.
Do you have that, Mr. Proctor?
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'd like then please to ask for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Tetramed LLC, MCN 281611. I'm sorry, Commissioner
Add one thing.
Flanagan?
In their plan.
Is this a separate condition or?
No, this is a separate condition.
Okay,
In
go
their
ahead.
plan, it states that if they don't meet their goal, they're going to give money. I would like that to be removed. I don't think that, as I've said before, there's no real reason to achieve the goal if you're just going to write a check at the end of the year, and I want to make sure that the goal is the plan.
Thank you.
They can do both, but not.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Tuttle?
I'm fine with that condition, but maybe we can revisit that in our discussion next month.
Okay. Thank you. Again, any other questions or comments? No, okay, thank you. Can I ask then, please, for a motion to approve the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Tetramed LLC, MCN 281611, subject to the conditions requested by Commissioners Flanagan and Tidal?
So moved.
Can I have a second, please? Let the record show Commissioner Doyle made the motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner McBride. All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show that the Commission unanimously approved the staff recommendation to issue a provisional license to Tetramed LLC, MCN 281611, subject to the conditions requested by Commissioners Flanagan and Tidal. Thank you. How's everybody doing? Sean, you're doing okay? You want to put it up? Okay, let's, it is, by my watch, it is 3 minutes of 11. We're going to recess till 11:10.
12.
I'm sorry, my apologies, I can't even tell time anymore. It is 3 minutes of 12. We are going to recess until 12:10.